So I was in this town, and I was going to a place like an animal hospital, and I'd met a girl that worked at the telephone exchange. So I'd gone in her, met her a couple of times, and we'd gone out for a nice drink and everything. And I had to go. I had to leave and go to this, take a journey to this animal centre, which was across like quite about a few hundred miles. And I was going to have to get the bus and stop at different towns and do this whole route. It was going to be quite hectic. But the last day I was seeing this girl, I went in to see her where she worked, and I said, "Oh, goodbye," and get a kiss, and "Oh, see you again," and this kind of thing. And she she gave me this. She said, "Oh, hold on, I've got something for you." And this is in she was speaking in Spanish. This is South America. I've got something for this. And she brought out a cage with the parrot. And the parrot is in the cage, and she says, "Oh, look, honestly," and it didn't look too well, to be honest. But she'd got it. She'd had it for a while. She said, "Look, I want to give you this parrot, so you can take this parrot to the animal refuge, right?" So I'm like, when I look at this parrot, and this parrot looks at me, and it doesn't look too friendly, because it just didn't look happy, you know. So it's on the thing, and it looks at me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to take you, no worries," but it just didn't look like it liked me. Basically, I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna." Okay, so I say goodbye, give her a kiss, and I've got my backpack and I've got a guitar and all this kind of stuff, and I'm getting on the bus, and I've got this parrot, and this parrot's on my lap, and I know I've got the parrot for the next day and a half, 2 days, to get from Sucre to Cochabamba. So this is Bolivia. Got to get across country, and I've got to take the parrot, and I got just sitting on a coach. So I got the parrot in the cage, and I had this kind of blanket around the parrot, or like a sheet, around the parrot cage. So it's on my lap. So I'm like, okay, is it alright? So I open up the little kind of curtains, and I look in, and the parrot's just there, and it's giving me the same look, like this whole like I don't like you look, right? I'm like looking at the parrot, it's like, fuck, I shut the curtains. I'm like, it looks alright, it's on its perch, it's fine. But the road starts to get a bit, because it's not like concrete road, it's a bit of rough road, So, and this with the coach starts bumping. When I'm with the parrot and I can hear it, and everything's cool, and it makes a noise, but nothing heavy. And it's bumping, and the coach is going, and so, but you can hear this, right? I'm like, oh, what the fuck is that? And then I hear this squawk, and I'm opening it up, and the parrot is on it's in the cage, but it's on sitting on a kind of pole. So every time it hits a bump, the parrot comes off of the pole, because the bump goes up, and it just flies off, and it's at the bottom of the cage. So I have to go, and I'm like, oh, you're at the bottom of the cage, and I have to put you back on the pole, because that's your perch, right? So every time it hits a bump, it gets knocked off its perch and hits the bottom of the cage. I'm like, I put it back on, and it's really grumpy, and it just goes, it just bites me as I'm putting it back on, and this keeps fucking happening. So I have to, if the parrot falls off the perch, you have to put it back on, because it's like flapping around at the bottom of the cage, and this is happening a lot, and the parrot still doesn't like me, right? And it's still pissed off. But it happened, I had it, and that was just the first stage of the journey. So that was the first stage of 8 hours. Me and the parrot, we're getting to know one another. It doesn't like me because it gives me the funny look, and then it keeps dropping off its perch, and I keep putting it back on the perch, trying to make it happy, and it's still giving me a funny evils, right? And I'm taking it to an animal refuge where it's going to be safe, right? It's an animal refuge. You're going to be rescued. You're going to be with other animals that don't look too bad and look like grumpy. That's fine, right? I'm just a fucking custodian. I'm just trapped like a courier. I'm just taking you across. There's nothing personal. Anyway, it's got the ump with me. So I've done 8 hours in this coach. So I get to this place at Cochabamba, and I've got to go to Chipari, which is a jungle, rainforest. And I'm waiting, and there's a lot of locals around, and there's just me, and there's nobody else, no other foreigner I can see. And they're like, who's this? Right, so I'm at the bus stop, and yeah, there's a foreigner. Okay, there's his backpack, and there's his, but why has he got a fucking parrot? And I'm like, I've got this parrot, so it's there. And they're kind of asking me questions which I couldn't answer the questions that they're asking me. So I'm like, I'm just this foreigner who sticks out anyway, but I've got this fucking parrot as well, which is an added attraction, and there's people want to ask questions about it. So I'm like, okay, after all this, I get on the bus, and I've got this next journey goes to the destination. So that's another 8 or 12 hours, I can't remember, from Cochabamba to Villa Tunari, which is in the Chapari region of Bolivia. It's where they grow like coca leaves and stuff like that. It's a bit shut down because coca leaves can be turned in en masse to like bad product, like drugs. So it's heavily guarded. So they guard the production and just keep an eye out, right? Because it could be turned into cocaine, things like that. But the animal refuge is in the jungle, in this jungle, and they have this centre, and it's like the only RSPCA style centre you can get in Bolivia. It's called Villa Tunari, Inti Warayasi, right? Sun, moon, star in Quechua. Inti Warayasi, Inti, sun, Wara, moon, Yasi, I think star, right? Anyway, but this place is located in the middle of the jungle, and they have like parrots and monkeys and shit like that. So that's where we're going, and that's where it's going to hand over. But what happens is we go through this whole journey for another 6 hours, and then we get to what's called a tranca, and a tranca is like a police stop, and that's like Bolivian police. They look like military police. They were in car keys and with guns and stuff. And they get onto the tranca, they get on board the bus, they want to search everything, have a look through, right? Just normal stuff, like what have you got, they look through. But they've seen me with the parrot in the cage, right? And they're like, no, this has to come off, I'm like, no, I don't want to, no, I'm taking it to, taking it to a refuge. They say, no, we're good. And I looked at the guys and I think, they're just going to take my parrot. Basically going to take my parrot, and I think they're just going to keep it. They look like they're going to keep it, or they're just going to play with it, or something, I don't know, they're going to own my parrot. I'm like, no. And I got up, and my Spanish isn't that good, but I remember because I went down to the bus and they're saying, no, we're going to take the parrot in the cage. And I said, no, I'm a volunteer for this refugio in the jungle, and I'm taking, and this parrot is coming with me. It's a donation like this, right? But in Spanish, and the bus was full of Bolivians going, all Bolivian, just me foreigner coming into the area, kind of locals, farmers and stuff like that. And I remember managed to say this to the guy, and the guy managed to kind of understand, and he said, it's okay, you can keep it. I was like, okay. So I got my parrot like this. I'm like, thank you. And I turned back around, and everybody in the bus was just like grinning like that. Gee. I'm like, oh, wicked. So I got my parrot, right? I sat you back down, and we traversed through that situation, so I didn't have to get rid of him. We traversed all the way to the destination, right? But every time I look at him, until I handed him over, he's still had that grumpy look on his face. Didn't like me look on his face. And we parted company, and that was it. And that was the story of the parrot.